Julian West lived a life sculpted by ambition and grit. His success story, a testament to relentless hard work, culminated in the purchase of his dream car, a 2024 cherry red Ferrari 296 GTB. The car wasn't just transportation, it was a symbol of his achievements, a tangible representation of the sacrifices he had made. He meticulously maintained it, a ritual of waxing, polishing, and covering the car as if it were a delicate work of art. It was his pride and joy, tucked away in his garage, a vibrant flash of color against the mundane backdrop of suburban life. He'd labored tirelessly, burning the candle at both ends, sacrificing weekends and social life, all to reach a point where he could afford to indulge in such a luxury. It was a badge of honor, a visible sign that his dedication had paid off. His neighbor, across the cul-de-sac, Karen, however, viewed the Ferrari with a vastly different lens. From the moment the car arrived, a seed of resentment seemed to plant itself deep within her. Her initial interactions were veiled in thinly disguised condescension. She would wave at the car, as if it were the sole object of interest, completely bypassing Julian himself. Her questions were designed to subtly undermine his ownership, implying that he had either borrowed it, rented it, or somehow hadn't truly earned it. Julian, accustomed to such displays of petty jealousy, initially dismissed them as mere annoyances, the product of a mind fueled by envy and entitlement. He figured it would pass, that she'd eventually tire of her passive-aggressive jabs. He focused on his own life, on his work, on enjoying the fruits of his labor. He was busy living his dream, and he refused to let her negativity taint his happiness. He attributed her behavior to a general dissatisfaction with her own life, a yearning for something she didn't possess. He'd seen it before, the green-eyed monster rearing its ugly head, and he knew the best way to deal with it was to ignore it. He'd smile politely, offer a bland response, and then return to his meticulously detailed task of caring for his car. He hoped his indifference would eventually deter her. He couldn't have been more wrong. The tension escalated gradually, subtly at first, like a slow-burning fuse. Karen's remarks became less veiled, her questions more pointed, her glances more resentful. Julian noticed her lingering stares as he pulled into his driveway, the way she would pause mid-yard work to gawk at the car. It was becoming increasingly clear that her obsession wasn't fading, it was growing, festering into something more sinister. He started to feel uneasy, a prickling sensation on the back of his neck whenever he saw her approaching. He began to wonder what her endgame was. Her interest wasn't just casual curiosity, it was possessive, almost predatory. The Ferrari, to her, was more than just a car. It was a symbol of something she felt entitled to, a status symbol that she believed belonged to her. He started locking his garage door more diligently, making sure the security system was armed. He even considered installing security cameras, just to have a record of her interactions. He knew he was being paranoid, but her behavior was becoming increasingly unsettling. He couldn't shake the feeling that something bad was about to happen. He just didn't know what it was, or when it would strike. The simmering tension finally boiled over on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Julian, engrossed in the meditative process of polishing the Ferrari's rims, was abruptly confronted by Karen. She marched across the cul-de-sac, her gait rigid and determined, her face set in a grim expression. There was no preamble, no polite greeting. She launched straight into her audacious demand, her voice laced with an unsettling mix of entitlement and desperation. She wanted the Ferrari, not to borrow, not to admire, but to own. Her words hung in the air, thick with audacity, leaving Julian momentarily speechless. He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Was this a prank? Some kind of bizarre social experiment? He searched her face for any sign of humor, but found only a chilling seriousness. Her reasoning, if it could even be called that, was even more shocking than the demand itself. She deserved the car, she claimed, rattling off a litany of grievances and perceived hardships. She had been through more in life, she insisted, as if emotional suffering automatically entitled her to a luxury sports car. She invoked the plight of her 3 kids and a bad back, as if these were qualifications for automotive appropriation. She even had the gall to suggest that Julian didn't need such a flashy vehicle, dismissing his hard-earned success as irrelevant. The car, in her twisted logic, was wasted on him, a mere commuter vehicle that he didn't truly appreciate. She, on the other hand, would put it to better use, presumably as a status symbol to flaunt in front of her equally entitled friends. It was a breathtaking display of arrogance and a complete disregard for Julian's feelings and accomplishments. It was as if she truly believed that because she wanted something, she was entitled to it, regardless of who owned it or how they acquired it. The sheer audacity of her request left Julian reeling. Julian's response was immediate and unequivocal. "Absolutely not," he stated firmly, his voice devoid of any room for negotiation. He turned his back on her, resuming his polishing, hoping to dismiss her as a delusional annoyance. He wanted nothing more than to end the conversation and return to his peaceful afternoon. He honestly thought that would be the end of it. He assumed her request was some sort of sick joke or a momentary lapse in judgment. He underestimated her. He didn't realize he was dealing with someone whose sense of entitlement knew no bounds, someone who was willing to go to extreme lengths to get what she wanted. As he continued to work on the car, pretending she wasn't there, he could feel her eyes burning into the back of his head. He sensed her anger, her frustration, her simmering rage at being denied what she believed was rightfully hers. He knew this wasn't over. The encounter had left a bad taste in his mouth, a sense of foreboding that he couldn't shake. He had a feeling he hadn't seen the last of Karen and her twisted sense of entitlement. Julian's unease proved to be tragically justified. The following morning shattered the suburban tranquility with the unwelcome intrusion of flashing blue lights. He awoke to find a police car parked in his driveway, its presence a jarring violation of his peaceful existence. Standing beside his beloved Ferrari, his arms crossed in a posture of authority, was Karen's husband, a local police officer. Behind him, Karen stood with calculated tears streaming down her face. The scene was meticulously staged, a theatrical performance designed to deceive and manipulate. Julian immediately recognized the gravity of the situation. He was being set up. Karen's fabricated accusation was as audacious as it was absurd. She claimed, with faux grief and carefully crafted emotion, that Julian had stolen her deceased brother's Ferrari. The lie was so outlandish, so easily disprovable, that it bordered on comical, were it not for the very real threat it posed. She alleged that she had proof that the car was rightfully hers, evidence that existed only in her imagination. She further claimed that Julian had been hostile when she attempted to reclaim her stolen property, painting him as a violent criminal resisting a legitimate claim. The performance was designed to sway her husband, to exploit his position of authority, and to pressure him into taking action based on false pretenses. She was weaponizing her marital relationship, using her husband's power to settle a petty dispute and to satisfy her insatiable desire for the Ferrari. It was a blatant abuse of power, a gross misrepresentation of the truth, and a dangerous escalation of her obsession. The attempt to seize his car, on his own property, was a brazen act of intimidation. Her husband, seemingly convinced by her performance, appeared ready to arrest Julian and impound the vehicle based solely on Karen's fabricated story. The injustice of it all was staggering. He was being accused of a crime he didn't commit, based on evidence that didn't exist, all because his neighbor coveted his car. The situation was surreal, a nightmare unfolding in broad daylight. He realized he had to act quickly and decisively to protect himself and his property. He braced himself, preparing to defend himself against this outrageous assault on his rights and his integrity. He knew that the next few moments would be crucial, that his actions would determine whether he fell victim to Karen's machinations, or whether he could expose her lies and reclaim his peace of mind. His heart pounded in his chest, adrenaline coursing through his veins, but he forced himself to remain calm, to think clearly, and to prepare for the confrontation that was about to unfold. He knew he had to be smart, to be strategic, and to be absolutely unwavering in his defense of the truth. Julian knew immediately that he couldn't afford to be reactive. He needed to control the narrative, to present a calm and rational defense against the absurdity of the accusations. He calmly retrieved his phone, activating the recording function, knowing that this evidence could be crucial later. He greeted them with practiced poise, masking his inner turmoil, and inquired about the reason for their presence. He made sure to enunciate clearly, to speak with a tone of polite curiosity, letting them dig their own grave. When Karen's husband attempted to justify his presence by claiming Julian matched the description of a luxury car thief, Julian didn't even flinch. He had anticipated this, prepared for this very moment. Instead of arguing, instead of protesting his innocence, he simply turned and walked towards his garage. He unlocked the door and raised it, revealing the interior, a pristine testament to his legitimate ownership. There, in plain sight, were all the documents needed to prove his claim. The original title, registration, insurance papers, and the vehicle identification number VIN documentation, all bearing his name. It was a comprehensive display of legal ownership, a solid wall of evidence that shattered Karen's fabricated narrative. He even had the original delivery video from the dealership, showing him taking possession of the Ferrari, his face beaming with pride and accomplishment. It was irrefutable proof that he was the rightful owner, a clear and unambiguous refutation of Karen's lies. But the real knockout punch was yet to come. Julian played the audio recording he had captured the previous day on his Ring security camera. The recording captured Karen's unhinged rant about deserving the Ferrari, her voice dripping with entitlement and envy. The timestamp and data provided undeniable proof of the time and location of the conversation, leaving no room for doubt or denial. The air in the driveway suddenly felt thick with tension, heavy with the weight of Karen's exposed lies. Her husband's face visibly changed, his expression shifting from one of righteous indignation to stunned disbelief. He realized he had been manipulated, used as a pawn in his wife's twisted game. The carefully constructed facade of innocence crumbled, revealing the ugly truth beneath. He had been complicit in a false accusation, potentially jeopardizing his career and his reputation. The gravity of the situation dawned on him, and he knew he was in serious trouble. The revelation of the evidence triggered an immediate shift in the dynamic. Karen, however, refused to concede, desperately clinging to her fabricated reality. She continued to scream, accusing Julian of fabricating the paperwork, of hacking the Department of Motor Vehicles (DMV), and of orchestrating an elaborate scam. Her accusations grew increasingly outlandish. Fueled by desperation and a complete disregard for the truth, she even invoked her supposed connections, threatening to expose Julian and silencing him. Her behavior was erratic and irrational, a clear indication of her unraveling. Her husband's partner, witnessing the unfolding chaos and recognizing the severity of the situation, intervened. He pulled Karen's husband aside, engaging in a hushed conversation, the details of which were obscured from Julian's view. The tension in the air was palpable, the weight of the situation pressing down on everyone present. The partner clearly understood the implications of the false accusations, the potential legal ramifications for both Karen and her husband. He likely explained the severity of the offense, the potential for disciplinary action, and the damage to the officer's reputation. Soon after, Karen's husband was ordered to step back from the situation. It was clear that internal affairs had been contacted, signaling the beginning of an official investigation. The partner informed Julian that the situation was being taken seriously and that a thorough investigation would be conducted. As it turned out, this wasn't the first time Karen had used her husband's position to intimidate neighbors. This pattern of behavior, combined with the irrefutable evidence of her false accusations, sealed her fate. Her husband was immediately suspended pending the outcome of the internal affairs investigation. The consequences of Karen's actions were swift and severe. The weight of her lies had finally come crashing down on her, shattering her carefully constructed world of entitlement and privilege. The investigation into Karen's husband's conduct moved swiftly. Internal affairs took the matter extremely seriously, recognizing the potential damage such abuse of power could inflict on the reputation of the police department. They interviewed Julian, reviewed the video and audio evidence, and spoke to other neighbors who had previously been subjected to Karen's intimidation tactics. It quickly became apparent that this incident was not an isolated event, but part of a disturbing pattern of behavior. The investigation revealed multiple instances where Karen had leveraged her husband's position to exert influence and control over the neighborhood, often for petty and personal reasons. Karen, facing the consequences of her actions, was issued a citation for making a false police report. The charge carried a potential fine in community service, a small price to pay considering the potential damage she could have inflicted on Julian's life. The citation was a symbolic victory, a formal acknowledgement of her wrongdoing and a deterrent against future acts of maliciousness. The incident served as a stark reminder that even those who believe they are above the law are ultimately accountable for their actions. For Julian, the ordeal was finally over. The stress and anxiety of the past few days began to dissipate, replaced by a sense of relief and vindication. He had successfully defended himself against a baseless attack, exposing Karen's lies and upholding the truth. The Ferrari, the object of Karen's envy and the catalyst for her malicious scheme, remained his. It gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of his hard work and determination, a testament to his refusal to be intimidated. The car wasn't just a possession. It was a reminder of his resilience, his ability to overcome adversity, and his unwavering commitment to justice. He started the engine, the V6 hybrid twin-turbo, roaring to life, a sound of power and freedom. He backed his dream car out of the driveway and drove off, leaving Karen, her disgraced husband, and her shattered world of entitlement in his rearview mirror. He knew that life in the cul-de-sac would never be quite the same, but he also knew that he had emerged from this ordeal stronger and more determined than ever. The Ferrari wasn't just a car, it was a symbol of his triumph, a gleaming reminder that hard work, integrity, and a little bit of karma can go a long way. He would continue to work hard, to live his dream, and to refuse to let anyone dim his shine.